Hey guys, KiwiSylveon, and welcome back to Seduce Me to the Demon War. In the last episode, oh boy, we went out to party with, first we made love to Matthew, who is now trapped in a bubble. And we hung out with Faye and all that fun stuff. And I'm going to do something strange in this one. We'll find out when we get to it. And apparently the Demon Lord's controlling Matthew, by the way, which is weird and crazy, and I'm a little afraid that he was there when we made love to him. Oh, fuck, if he did, that would be awkward. Matthew pounced off the ground and slammed into the barrier wall, grinning like ear to ear at Diana.
And when you come, I will be ready. I know all of your little plans, and will make sure that I completely destroy your precious army, one pathetic soldier at a time. Once I do, I'll make Zakeru my heir, and finally take over the rest of this godforsaken plane, for good.
This time, however, Diana smirked and tapped the barrier between Matthew's eyes. Her irises brightening to a sadistic gold color.
And this is where you fail in war, Demon Lord. Who said we ever wrote anything down about our plans?
Matthew stared astonished at Diana before snarling madly.
You're lying!
Test me, mongrel. I will prove it on the day we lay siege upon your pathetic castle and dominate your puny army.
Despite how twisted the situation was, the rebel leaders and guards in the room began to nod and smirk at Matthew in agreement with Diana's words. Diana, however, pressed her face against the barrier.
And I swear to you, this war will end with you dying by the hands of a succubus.
The guards around Diana cheered as Matthew continued to glare hard at Diana, clawing at the barrier wall to try to get to her to no avail. Diana straightened back and scoffed.
As for your son, we'll need to do a little surgery.
Surgery? I pulled at Irene and Irides's hands, staring at Diana like she was a madwoman. Surgery? What the hell did she mean? Without another word, Diana placed her head on the barrier and sent another wave of electric shocks into the barrier before Matthew finally passed out entirely. No! At last, Iridessa and Irene released me, letting me rush forward and kneel at the barrier, pressing my hands against him, peering in to see Matthew lying unconscious on the floor. I looked up at Diana as she turned and glared at her. Why did you do that? Diana glared at me before turning away from me, crossing her arms.
Why did you hide this from me?
No, I deserve an explanation. Assigned Diana. Wow. The ship will die in this one. Spoiler. As Diana turned back to me at my explosion, I felt my body instantly freeze in fear underneath her sudden golden gaze.
And one of my men deserves not to be dead. Because of your little secret, this boy managed to lose control to whatever has been possessing him and killed one of my top-ranking officers in order to find my decoy battle plans.
I let it sink in. Matthew had killed somebody. The influence on him really forced him to kill someone. I couldn't believe it. As Diana released me from her enthrallment, I buckled my hands and knees, panting for air.
Was hiding this worth it? Was his precious pride truly worth the life of one of my men?
I shut my eyes, knowing how wrong the situation was. Matthew was trying. He was fighting to stop whatever was taking control of him. He needed to do it on his own. However, before I could think back of speaking back, James and Sam stepped forward in front of me, blocking me from Diana.
Forgive him, Diana. He wasn't in control of himself.
And now you're defending him?
Holy shit.
Shut the fuck up! You don't understand what he's been through.
Yes, thank you, Sam.
And I don't care! One of my men is dead because of him! Controlled or not, it was his hands that took his life. No amount of pride can justify that.
Holy shit, Sam actually got told off. The brothers silenced themselves as I took everything in. Matthew had killed someone. The brothers understood, and Diana had essentially been betrayed. Part of me screamed that this was all my fault. I didn't open my mouth to fix this. I didn't let anyone know what Matthew was going through. However, Matthew was desperate to do them himself. even though we failed in the end. I lowered my head to the ground, gritting my teeth and trying to stop myself from crying. Carrie and Twilight rushed to my side, wrapping their arms over me in an attempt to comfort me, but I couldn't feel anything but despair for what was going on. Don't. Despite everything, however, it was my choice. I trusted Matthew and wanted to help him in any way I could. He was the man I loved, and if I didn't trust him, then I truly couldn't deserve his love. I gripped the ground and glared up once again more at Diana, seeing her stare down at me in expectancy. I'm sorry for what happened, but I am not sorry for hiding it. I felt her glare slightly at me, but I let the feeling roll off my back. I hid it because I loved him and believed in him. It was a terrible circumstance, but I had to try and believe him. Matthew wanted to be self-reliant. He wanted to stop having his brothers come to rescue him, and if you can't see why he needed to do that, then you need to open your eyes. Well, actually, Jenna would be like, then you need to open your fucking eyes. Because Sam and them would rub off on her. Silence lingered in the room as Diana continued to bore her eyes into my soul. At last, Diana, god damn it. Diana let out an irritated sigh.
Enough. We need to figure out how to break this hold the Demon Lord has on him.
Also, Sam's like, damn right. I believe her.
Enough. We need to figure out how to break this hold the Demon Lord has on him.
Everyone in the room seemed to agree. I rubbed my face and slowly stood, agreeing as well, and now ready to fix what had happened. Diana looked at the guards over her shoulder and barked orders.
A chair, a bucket of sweet flowers, and a knife.
The soldiers nodded and saluted their queen before rushing off. Diana shook her head and placed her hand on the barrier.
What on earth could have made the control so strong?
His mother.
Hi, Damien. Everyone looked at Damien, seeing him look intensely at his fallen brother with worry.
I can hear her voice, pleading with him to wake up. She keeps apologizing for making him do what he did.
So his mother is to blame?
No. The Demon Lord is still the one who made him do what he did. The mother was a weakness of his, and only amplified his control.
Diana stared at Matthew's unconscious body as the soldiers from before rushed in and placed the chair beside her and the bucket beside it. Diana slowly sat down and crossed her legs, holding out her hand and feeling a knife being placed into it by a third guard.
We need to figure out how to block his mind from the Demon Lord's control. Once we do that, we can try to dispel it, while the Demon Lord's power isn't using Matthew's energy.
Taking a purple peach-shaped fruit from a large basket, Diana began to peel it and slice it open, revealing a black center. However, her focus remained on Matthew.
It will take me some time, but I think I can manage it.
Are you sure?
I am. Everyone may go and sleep.
Everyone slowly nodded and began to leave the room. I, however, stood still, not wanting to leave Matthew alone. As Diana noticed me, she glared softly.
Go to your room and rest. I will call you if something happens.
Her words were venomous, warning me of the thin line I was walking across. As she placed the fruit slice into her mouth, I conceded defeat and left the room, staring at Matthew in utter worry before I exited. That night, I slept alone. I was filled with different emotions. Worry, sadness, anger, betrayal, horror. Everything mixed and danced within me as I let out a heavy sigh. This would be a long night. I was barely able to eat or leave my room the following 2 days. I stayed in my room, trying to calm down and take in everything. Matthew was a prisoner, and Diana had to pull the control out of him somehow. How she going to do that? How she was going to do that, I couldn't be sure. But I was certain that this was going to be a large challenge, especially since the Demon Lord was involved. The other wives visited me, helping me eat and go through what I had trained. However, my mind focused on Matthew. I was worried sick for him. I wanted him to be free, and I wanted him to be okay. I knew that this wasn't the case for the moment, but I knew that it had to happen eventually. After all, we were a day away from marching to the siege. I gripped my hair and closed my eyes, trying to remember if there was anything I did to help stop the control. I was there for him, but it slowly dawned on me. I was there for him. His love for me was what kept him focused. I was there each time he lost control, and I managed to bring him down from that. It was something. A risky something, but something nonetheless. I rushed out of the room and into the grand hall, seeing Diana continue to stare into the barrier. Inside, however, Matthew was sitting cross-legged and smirking at Diana. Matthew. Diana and Matthew looked over at me, surprised to see me enter.
Human, what are you?
I ignored Diana and continued forward, standing in front of the barrier and staring into Matthew's eyes. Matthew, it's me. Wake up and get a hold of yourself. Matthew stared in shock at me before smirking and crawling over with a pout.
Aw, is the little human upset that she can't get fucked by her incubus?
I had to ignore him. The demon lord was taunting me, tempting me to get angry. So I concentrated on Matthew's eyes, knowing Matthew was in there somewhere. Matthew, I know you're there. You can fight this. I know you can. Yeah, shut up, shut up, Diana, go away. I could see a small glimmer in Matthew's eyes, proving that I was right. I smiled and pressed my hands against the wall of the barrier, trying to press myself against the magic blocking Matthew from me. Listen to me. You can stop this. You can do this yourself. I began to fill with hope. Despite my words also reaching the demon lord, Matthew was also listening, and I could only hope that my love was fueling his need to stop his father's control. The barrier beneath my hand slowly began to desolidify as my body slowly pressed into the wall and suddenly barrel rolled inside.
No!
I looked up, finally seeing myself inside the barrier somehow. Looking around and seeing Matthew staring at me intensely, I gulped, knowing that the demon lord was still there, running Matthew's every movement, every word that ran from his lips. Still, I believed in him. I slowly stood up and walked over, opening my arms for him. Matthew, I love you, and I'm here for you. Please, break through this and come back to me. Slowly, Matthew walked forward, shakily reaching out his hand for me. I could see the desperation in his eyes as he tried to listen. Yes, that was it. I walked forward and held his hands before feeling them slide up to my cheeks, warming my face with his palms.
You.
For a moment, a glimmer of his blue eyes filled my heart with joy. I gripped his hands, desperate for him to hang on and fight. Finally, Matthew gritted his teeth and released my face, gripping his head.
Get out of my head!
Matthew! I rushed over, wrapping my arm around his back as Matthew sank to his knees, digging his finger into his hair. I could hear Diana trying to see what was going on, but my body managed to block her view. Matthew looked up at the wall and snarled.
Get out!
Matthew shouted at the sky, arching his back and releasing a red wave of energy from his body. It zipped into the air and broke free of the barrier, circling over the ceiling like a thundercloud. In quick response, Diana pointed her hands out and formed a large purple orb in her hands before tossing it at the energy, capturing it in another cage, and then it hit the ground, locked inside. Diana caught an energy. Will you like to nickname this new energy? Yeah, fuck you. My focus, however, was on Matthew. He panted and coughed, clasping over his neck and chest in pain as he shut his eyes tightly. I barely noticed the sound of Matthew's brothers and their wives running in to see what had happened. I lifted Matthew in my arms and caught his eyes as he opened them, seeing the man I loved once again back in my arms. Matthew? Matthew very slowly let a grin run across his face as he lifted a hand to cup my cheek.
Hey, beautiful.
Oh my God. My breath hitched as I quickly fell forward and wrapped my arms around Matthew, uncaring that the barrier around us was solely being dispelled by Diana. Matthew wrapped his arms around my form, hugging me tightly and kissing over my neck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The moment seemed to last forever, a private world with me and Matthew in each other's arms. Desperate to not let go. However, Diana's voice caused us to slowly separate and look up at her.
Not that I care that I am breaking this moment apart,
Fuck you.
but we have more important things to do than this.
Fuck you, Diana. Fuck you. Diana. Diana rolled her eyes and took up the orb that held the Demon Lord's control energy, staring into it with a piercing glare. Are you going to nickname your control energy now? Because you did capture it, so... Does this get act to it like a demon dex or something? I am paying way too much attention to Pokemon.
I will take care of this. But I'm positive that this is not all of it. After all, he did control you enough to kill.
I felt myself slump over. She really wasn't going to forgive him, but she was right. The Demon Lord's control was ultra-powerful. Who knew how much control he really had? Diana sighed and willed the orb away into the air before looking to us.
Well then, I've spent enough time fixing this. Now I must prepare for a war. Excuse me.
Diana nodded to us and left without another word. Matthew, however, grinned at me and nuzzled my forehead.
I guess I really did need saving after all.
I shook my head, knowing that it was not true. I was there to help, not there to save. I kissed Matthew's cheek and smiled. I only helped you do it on your own. You broke his control over you, not me. We chuckled for each other, slowly standing and happy to be in each other's arms. At last, James, however, stepped forward with a frown, causing Matthew to release me.
Matthew, I apologize for not being a proper brother for you and treating you with the respect you deserved. I would never want you to not trust me or the others.
In agreement, the other brothers stepped up and nodded, ashamed as well. I could see Sam going, fine, Sam loves Matthew, even though he kind of hates him. I mean, look at what he did half the time in the other routes. He just beat up at the poor kid. Or he yelled at him, but I could see the brotherly love. Sam would nod even though he would be clenching his fist, going, yeah, I agree. Matthew stared at all of them in shock before kissing my cheek and stepping towards them.
Hey. You're my brothers. We're supposed to support and protect each other, right?
Aww. And I could see that Jenna would be nodding to, like, Allie and them, because they would be here instead of the wives, and going, yeah. And then she'd rush into Allie's arms and hug her tightly, like, yay, my big sister. Sorry, I can't help it. All five of them smiled at each other as I felt myself needing to rest once more. I held the ball slightly, maintaining my balance as I shook my head and looked up at the brothers, seeing them happily rekindle the brotherly love they had before. I could see Sam just ruffling his hair like, you little pipsqueak, you've worried us. I looked to the wives, winking, before sneaking out. Matthew needed some time with his brothers to settle some differences. And probably he beat up on Sam a little bit, saying, this is for all the times you did this to me, you jerk. I would wait for him in the room. I began to make my way back to my room, but stopped as I heard a sound of whispered voices sneak through a barely open door.
So, we're all in agreement? We have to. We don't have any choice anymore.
It will be for the better, I'm sure.
Indeed.
I peeked into the room to see the interior of the library where the four rebel leaders stood in a circle. Sergeant leaned against the fireplace mantel, while Rabbit and Shadow sat in two empty chairs. Faye, however, floated to and fro from side to side in anxiousness. What were they talking about? I was so engrossed in figuring out what was happening in the room that I didn't notice a figure coming up behind me and pushing me into the room.
Hey boss, found something for you.
Terminus!
Huh? Ah, shit.
I grimaced, now out in the open. The four stared at me with cold eyes, as if they were ready to send me back to the human world as a corpse rather than going through with the siege. I looked up at all of them as I slowly rose to my feet, eyeing each leader as I considered running for the door. However, they each looked to each other in contemplation.
Say, you didn't hear anything, did you?
No, I swear.
What was the last thing you heard?
I said I didn't hear anything, Rabbit. Shut up, Rabbit. I didn't hear anything. I'm trying to put my phone on the charger, and it's like, yeah, no, you want to put it on a charger? Fuck you. There we go. Something about having no choice. I suddenly felt the guards of each leader behind me, readying their weapons. What the hell? Were they seriously going to kill me for walking by and eavesdropping?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on, guys!
I felt the guards back away from me slowly, most likely still cautious of me. I let out a small sigh, happy that I wasn't going to die, at least not immediately. Rabbit, however, looked to me with an ear twitching and curiosity.
Let us ask first. Do you know what has been truly happening with Diana?
I looked at Rabbit, knowing what she meant. Diana had been acting oddly and was not boding well. The more I saw her, the more I could tell something was seriously weighing her down or influencing her words. Yeah, but what does that have to do with this meeting? As I answered, the other demons looked once again at each other before Shadow stepped forward nonchalantly.
Let's not play the ignorance game. We're going to assassinate the succubus when the war is over.
What?
Oh, what the fuck?
Way to just blurt it out!
There's no use in hiding it. We don't know how much
Yeah, we know this.
Diana...
Meaning...
Human, you hate...
Listen!
This is the second? No.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Huh?
but
Look, I mean, it's not like I want to, okay?
I looked at Fate, confused. They twiddled their thumbs as they looked at their fellow demons.
The Demon Lord is a bad guy, and we just don't want another demon like him. And Diana's a very, very powerful succubus, you know?
What does that have to do with anything? Faye sighed and rustled their hair.
Well, she's like mega powerful and stuff. If she goes mad and takes over the world, we'd be screwed, you know? She can enthrall armies and stuff with just a snap of her fingers. Who knows what kind of damage she could do if she went crazy? I really don't care what happens after. I just don't want my people killed because of her stupid leadership.
I could tell that Faye was trying to be sensible about the issue, but in her eyes, I could see the fear of the situation. She was probably the only one who believed in her cause because that Diana was mad, or at least in danger of becoming so.
Regardless.
Whoa! Hey, hold on! We're not gonna hurt you or anything!
I'm
Yay.
curious, human.
What?
Who do you believe?
I believe in you all. They're right. She was very powerful, and if she was truly corrupt, if she truly was corrupted, then she needed to be cut off before she caused any damage. Thoughts of revenge bubbled in my mind, reminding me how horrible she had been in the human world when she had tried to take the boys away from me. She had the gall to take my energy and test me at school as some sort of sadistic teacher. She had this coming to her. The four in the room stared at me, taking in my reply.
I'm fairly shocked.
Well, now what do we do with her?
I waited as the group looked at each other before Faye magically formed a small vial in their hands.
Should we give it to her? She's close enough to her.
Huh? Give what? Hello. Faye ignored me and passed the vial to Shadow, who began to imbue it with his own dark magic. Slowly, the glass began to fill with dark ink liquid, stopping a quarter of the way up. Was it poison? Shadow passed it to Rabbit, who did the same, creating a purple liquid within the vial and swirling around to mix the liquids together. The contents separated a bit, causing a strangely beautiful gradient effect. As Sergeant took a hold of it, it began to fill with a green liquid, becoming mixed with the poison already within the vial. Finally, Fate took the vial back and shoved a cork on the top before shaking the mixture violently. As they did, a strange gray energy began to glow around it, pulsing like a heartbeat and slowing until it eventually faded away.
There.
From the tone of their voice, the decision to truly go through with this was solidified. They were all serious in wanting Diana to die. Felt a little pity for what was to come. Faye turned and floated to me, holding out the vial.
We were gonna give this to her during the final celebration after the siege, but we're pretty sure that guard will be watching her like a hawk.
Then why give it to me?
Because she trusts you. I have a theory that she'll pull you aside, away from everyone else, to have a little chat before you're sent back to the human world.
How can you be so sure? Shadow smirked.
Because when we tried to send you home, she tried to slip in an extra item onto the spell reagent list. And according to my recent studies, it is actually very important to demons like her. I suspect that she was going to give it to you as a gift.
Since the gate spell didn't work, she probably took the time to find it herself. She'll take you aside and give it to you before you leave, which will give you the chance to be alone with her.
I was surprised. Diana was going to give me something important? I was curious as to what it was, but my thoughts trailed off as I stared at Faye's hands, which were still holding the vial of potion.
I guess it was a good thing you listened in then. Makes our job a bit easier.
I slowly reached out and took the vial, feeling a very subtle heartbeat emit from it. It took every ounce of will I had not to drop it in surprise. Was this thing alive? I brought it close and examined it, practically feeling its power. If Diana was as powerful as I expected, then how powerful was this poison? I was paying such close attention to the vial in my hand that I didn't see Faye swooping back behind me and grabbing my head. What the?
Sorry.
All at once, my mind began to become fuzzy and light. What was happening to me?
Is that really necessary?
It will lower the risk of her telling anyone about our plans until the chance arises. When it does, she'll remember everything and know what to do.
Oh, I would forget about this? How did that make sense? I didn't get a chance to fight back until my vision blacked out. I shut my eyes and let the world spit yada yada yada. Wee. Woo! What made my head spin was the fact that Matthew had been under the influence of his father and mother's controls. It was beyond imagining, yet it happened. I couldn't believe it, but at the same time I had no choice but to come to terms with it. As Matthew entered the room at last, I smiled and stood, walking over and wrapping my arms around him as he returned my embrace.
You're the best person in the entire universe. You know that?
And you are too, Matthew. Yay! Sure, the Demon Lord let's see. We had been in a heavy predicament, but we escaped. Sure, the Demon Lord may still have some sway over Matthew, but it wasn't enough to control him now. Make love to Matthew! Yay. I guided Matthew back and sat on the bed, looking up at him before slowly easing out of my shirt, locking eyes with him as I slowly began to strip for him. His breath became slightly hitched. Holy shit, did not mean to do that. hitched as he watched, obeying my silent demand to keep his eyes on me. As I finally became bare from the waist up, I pressed my hands onto the bed and slid back, laying my legs up onto the mattress and holding them out for him to do the honors. I tilted my head, letting him get the picture as I dangled my legs out for him. Matthew let out a shy sigh before nodding and biting his lower lip and crawling up onto the bed, grasping my clothes and tying them off of my legs, leaving me completely bare for him. As he tossed my clothes to the side, I settled back onto the bed and held my arms out to him. Come here. Obediently, Matthew followed, kneeling between my legs and pressing his hands on both sides of my body, staring deep into my eyes and making me become lost in his gorgeous blue irises. I slowly danced my arms up over his shoulders and felt his skin slightly heat up beneath my hands and make me slightly smirk up at my loving incubus. I'm all yours. I want you to take all of me. The carnal desire that flashed in his eyes made my body shudder even before his enthrallment began to settle into my body and completely encase my core in desire.
I don't deserve you.
Shut up, Matthew. You deserve everything. My words became muffled, lost in the air as he pressed his lips hard against mine and quickly began to discard his jeans, joining me in my bare exposure and taking in my scent as I relished the feeling skin against mine. Well, I could tell you that the other ones are doing the same thing, kinda, 'cause they kinda want to celebrate too. And, of course, yeah, it would be interesting to see the others going, well, may as well celebrate. This is our last night. Woo! However, what surprised me was him turning me over and wrapping his arms around my waist, hugging me back against his chest. I took the hint to grip onto the bedpost and arch my back, waiting for him, impatient. Then pleasure racked through me and I became a moaning mess in his arms. The bed rocked hard against the wall as I dug my nails into the wood and took in his love with our lovemaking. My heart sung arias of love as my core screamed songs of ecstasy for the man taking me. Oh my god. Oh, thankfully, it won't be the only bed rocking. I think 4 other beds might be rocking too. And knowing Damien, his mind would be a bit busy, but he would still catch it like, oh shit, here we go again. This was indeed our last night in the demon world, so we would relish the feeling of magic and lust melting around us as we soared into euphoria, even as we angled ourselves to lock lips. Our inhibitions became lost in the air. We became rough, rapid, and roared in the pleasure that rushed through us, quickly washing through our peaks once, twice, 3 times. We didn't care to count farther, losing our senses within our arms. As our ride eventually had to end, we settled into the mattress, panting and gasping. The natural musk of our sweat danced in the air as we slowly cuddled together and relaxed into the sheets beneath our bodies. I was dizzy, swimming in oceans of joy and love within Matthew's arms, causing me to nuzzle my head beneath his and kiss over his Adam's apple. I'll always be here, in your arms.
And I'll be here in yours. I promise.
Aww. I love when they say like little love things at the end. It's so cute. A sense of hope and courage wrapped around us that night, laced with our undying commitment for each other. We would survive. We would be okay. I felt safe in Matthew's arms, and I'm sure he felt safe in mine. We would return to the human world and be okay. Tomorrow would decide everything, and then there's a battle.
When you get to the castle,
She'll be okay. She's got my magic with her.
Don't worry, I got this. Woo! Woo!
Remember your surroundings and protect each other.
James, I love you. I love you, Matthew. Allie, Ellie and the others, why aren't you here?
Be careful, alright? Make sure you stay safe.
Got it.
Princess, brother, we'll see you in the end.
At least you got a queen now.
We have faith in you. You'll make it there, and we'll return to the human world soon.
Kick his dead body a couple times for me, alright? Right in the head.
Gotcha, Sam. We'll kick him once in the head. For me being trapped here. Once in the throat for making Matthew come here. And then maybe 5 more times for Sam, just to give him a little edge.
We'll be right here rooting for you and watching your back, okay?
Thanks, Gary.
We'll win this. We know we can.
You can do this. We'll see you soon, okay?
Okay, Twyla. You're still my favorite of them next to Gary. Let's see.
Hey!
Let's see. The journey was surprisingly, dare I say, peaceful. The sound of war exploded beside us on the outside of the tree line, causing me to cover my ears a bit. I don't want to be distracted. Focus. As I rushed forward, I felt my instincts go aflutter, causing me to stop and remember that I could fly. My incubus skidded to a halt beside me, looking to me in out of breath confusion.
Hey! What's going on?
I looked up at him, staring into his eyes and contemplating my plan. It took a lot of energy out of me, but it was faster than running. Plus, I would be holding him with me, adding on to that weight. It took a moment before mentally hitting the fuck it button. I quickly grabbed my incubus's hand and pulled him close, tightly wrapping an arm around him and shooting my hand down to the ground. Fly! As my voice rang through the air, my feet suddenly were pushed off of the ground, pulling my incubus along with me and causing him to wrap his arms around me in utter surprise and fear of falling. Our bodies shot into the air above the trees and let us see the battle raging beside us. I was in shock as the battle escalated between two sides, slicing and ripping each other for territory and ground. Still, the thoughts of the castle ran through my mind, causing me to shake my head and fly us forward, and the incubus in my arms held me tighter. It was a little cute to think of about him holding on to me like this for once, and as I guided us through the air. I knew that there were imps still in the forest below, however, so I glared into the trees and pointed a hand out, forming a familiar faint orb in my hand and chucking it into the woods. I repeated the action over and over as we continued forward. I could faintly hear the sounds of the imps below becoming caught in my thorns. Some even crying out from actually being impacted by one of my orbs and being cocooned in a thorny trap. My incubus, despite probably being surprised at my carnage, ignored the sounds below us and held me close to him, knowing that if he let go, he would fall. I wasn't focused on him at the moment. Way to go, Jenna. Don't focus on your fiancé. Good. Just ignore that you're carrying a goddamn demon. Yay! By the time we reached the end of the forest, there were a slew of dead bodies behind us, all entangled in a forest full of thorn bushes. I landed at the tree line, panting and feeling waves of exhaustion running through my body. I panted for air, slowly focused on calming down as my energy quickly depleted and from continued usage to keep me in the air. That was all I could do before my... Yay! I began to fall forward, exhausted. My fiancé, however, quickly rushed over and caught me in his arms.
Whoa! Are you alright?
No, I just flew 500 feet. No, I just used all my energy to carrying you and us over. I'm fine. Huh? Yay. I'm fine. I promise to protect you, like you protect me. I mean, the guys did protect the main character in the first game. But from Alex, and of course Diana too, technically. So, it's only fitting. Aww. Matthew allowed a small laugh before pressing his forehead against mine.
What would I ever do without you?
Aww. I don't know. Probably lose control to your father, kill everybody in the castle, including me and your brothers, and then rule the demon world without any magic. Yay.
Come on. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's go. Whee! We rushed into the Demon Lord's castle. Okay. Desperate to get inside and aid Diana in fighting the Demon Lord. As we rushed in, however, we stopped to see Diana and the Demon Lord standing off. Diana had her saber tightly gripped in one hand while she glared daggers into her opponent. As the Demon Lord carried a large smirk on his face, he stood on the dais of his throne. As Matthew and I entered, his smirk grew that much wider. Matthew, however, seemed to care more about the woman kneeling on the ground beside the Demon Lord with her hands on her knees, frowning at him.
Mother! Ah! There he is! My son!
Get him out of here now!
What? I stared at Diana as she continued to face the Demon Lord. What was she talking about? The Demon Lord slipped laughed and pointed at Matthew.
Well, what are you waiting for? Claim your throne! What are you talking?
At that moment, Matthew's body pulsed with a faint blue light. He curled over his body and gripped his head, digging his fingers into his hair. Matthew? Matthew, what's wrong?
Get him out of here!
I rushed to Matthew, now terrified to what was happening. Before I could place my hands on his shoulders, however, Matthew vanished into a dissipating afterimage. Huh? The sounds of steel clashing caused me to turn to see Matthew and Diana clashing swords. Diana gritted her teeth as Matthew glared into her gaze.
Damn it, fool!
I said, take your throne!
In case you haven't noticed, Demon Lord, he is kinda doing that, but he's kinda busy, too. Just so you know, he's kinda busy. Matthew's body pulsed again, forcing him to push against Diana and send her flying back to stand beside me. As Diana reached me, she moved a hand in front of me, blocking me from Matthew. Matthew! Matthew looked up at me and Diana, his expression twitching from trying to maintain control of himself. His eyes flickered between blue and gold as he gripped his sword tightly. I wasn't afraid of him, so I stepped out from behind Diana and walked towards him, holding my hands out. Matthew, it's okay. You can overcome this.
Stay back.
I ignored him and continued to walk forward, needing him to be okay. Whatever spell the Demon Lord had on him wasn't powerful enough to consume him. I needed to break its entire hold on him once for all. Fight it, Matthew. You are strong enough to beat this. Matthew dropped his sword and gripped his head, digging his fingers into his hair and curling over himself. He scratched his nails over his horn, angry and aggravated.
I don't want to hurt you!
You won't, Matthew. I know you won't. At last, I stopped in front of Matthew's body. I gently tilted his head up and cupped his face with both my hands. His face was warm from the mental struggle, and his eyes flickered between blue and gold. I trusted him, though. Matthew loved me, and his love would crash through this spell. Let me help you. I quickly leaned in and kissed Matthew's head, making him gasp and freeze within my arms. I felt myself slowly draining my remaining energy, but I didn't care. Matthew needed it more than me, and if I was able to free him, then I would. The air around us became lighter and easier to breathe, even as we separated. Whoopsie! I stared in Matthew's eyes, seeing him stare wide-eyed at me in shock. They were completely painted in gold, causing my heart to tighten for a moment. Did he break it?
Enough of this! Kill her!
As the Demon Lord's voice reverberated in the air, a large sword embedded itself into the Demon Lord's stomach.
What the?
Oh, yeah. Matthew's here to kick ass. Take some names and kick some ass. Or kick some name and take some ass. That sounds wrong. Matthew looked back to his father, his hands extended out towards him. As his eyes finally regained their ocean blue color, my heart began to jump in ecstatic joy. Matthew had broken free from the spell his father trapped him under. Thank God, and thank God for timing. My timer is going off, so I will see you guys in the next episode, and oh my God, it's going to be the end. Bye!